welcome. In this tutorial video, I will demonstrate how you can create frequency tables in the KIWI ExploreLive module. Frequency tables are also known as contingency tables, and they summarize the co-distribution between categorical variables. I will illustrate the use of basic settings, such as the selection of a dataset, the selection of the variables to include in the frequency tables, how you can select the statistics that will be reported in the tables. We'll also illustrate the use of advanced settings, mostly stratifications. And finally, I will demonstrate how you can export the table created in the module in various formats. Here I have an active ExploreLive session in which I've already uploaded a dataset called demo.csv. This is the same simulated pharmacokinetic datasets that we've used in previous tutorials. I have used this dataset to create a modified dataset called 1 per ID. This dataset only contained the first record per subject. In this dataset, my covariables are time invariant, so I only need to use the first record per subject to obtain a representative distribution of those variables. To create frequency tables, you need to go to the table menu and click on Contingency Table, which is the other name for frequency tables. This submodule opens with an interface containing two different panels at the beginning. Data settings, a panel in which you can control various fields or settings related to the data. The contingency table settings panel will provide you various options to control the statistics reported in the table and the design of the table. So let's go back to the data settings panel and click on the first field, which allow you to control the source of the data included in your tables. This drop-down will list all the imported data sets, any modified data sets that you might have created in the data module, and the pool data if you have merged or pool two data sets together. So I'm going to select the 1 per ID. The next thing that you need to do is actually select two variables, at least two categorical variables. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select my study variable and my SexFC variable. Those are two character variables. As soon as I confirm the selection of at least two variables, two additional panels show up, the contingency tables and the download panel that we will talk about at the end of this tutorial. So a contingency table is a cross-distribution table. SexF values are shown as rows. The study values are shown as column. By default, the table will include the frequency, so the marginal frequencies for number of records that are associated with the female category and this MAD 703 study. You will also see the percentage that this record represents overall. So we have, you can see a total column, rows here and a total column. So we have a total of 160 records. 60 is 10% of that total. So you will see that percentage for each cell of the table. You can choose to not display that percentage by unchecking the percent checkbox. In this case, the table simplifies to just the value of the different variables. You can choose to add additional statistics like the percent by row, percentage by column, and this contribution to the overall chi-square statistics, which I did not yet talked about. Below the table is a little footnote is reported. This is essentially the result of a Pearson's chi-square test. The chi-squared statistics is reported. So the sum of this individual contribution is the value of the overall chi-squared statistics. The number of freedom is reported. By default, the p-value is computed by an asymptotic method, and there is also a two-sided Fisher test performed with a p-value here is reported. Sometimes when you have a lot of possible categories, a lot of possible cross interaction, this statistic may not be reported or could not be calculated using the asymptotic p-value method. And in this case, you could use a Monte Carlo simulation approach. And you just have to click on the yes option. The default number of replicates for this simulation is 2000. You'll see a slight difference in the p-value of the Fisher's test. So in my case, I don't really need that, so I will change that that setting. If you select additional variables, if you select continuous variables like the dose variable, nothing really happens. You need to coerce that variable to a categorical variable by selecting it in this field. I'm going to select the dose variable. By doing that, now the contingency table will report two tables, one for, actually might report three tables. I'll just remove that to get something a little bit more compact. So we have the dose versus SexF, the dose versus study, and the SexF versus study. So all the tables are included in the same same panel. I'm going to remove that that selection of variables to talk about the table by field in this contingency table setting. Tabling by a variable will essentially break the data by stratum. So the table here now report the value for the co-distribution of data of the SexF and study for the record that have dose equal 10. This table panel report the existence of 8 different contingency level now, and you can choose or flip through the values. And so just clicking on this little arrow updates the content of the contingency table. I will remove this stratification, go back to this selection here. Before I illustrate the feature, the download feature, I want to mention the capabilities to subset the data directly in the contingency table submodule. The field, the functionality that are available in this tab are strictly identical to the functionality presented in a separate tutorial entitled Data Subset or Subsetting Data. So I invite you to watch that separate video training, separate tutorial to learn about how to use these fields. Now, before I conclude this presentation, I want to talk about the download panel. This is a very simple panel with a single field that defines the format of the document to which the table will be exported. You can choose HTML, a Word format, or Excel. The default is a Word format. You just have to click on the download button. Depending on your web browser and your settings, the document could directly be saved in a default folder. In my case, I can select where to save my frequency tables. And Chrome also allows the opening of that document directly from here. And you can see this Word document with my 3 frequency tables shown one after the other. After that, you can copy paste this content to a report, PowerPoint presentation, or simply discard that document if you don't need it. What I will do. So this concludes the presentation of the contingency or frequency table functionality in ExploreLive. If you have questions about this submodule, I invite you to refer to the KIWI user manual or to send us questions to kiwisupport@cognigencorp.com. Thank you very much.